Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where in the world you are tapping in from. Remember, Keep It P podcast is a global show, and today we will be talking about it does not justify it. Peace Corps guidance for Black volunteers in the Ukraine causes a stir after being exposed on Twitter. Breaking news. There's racism in the Ukraine. We've been told you, if you was watching this show, we'd have been told you, stay out of that mess. That's between Russia, Ukraine, PC versus PC, white on white crime, and you stay out of the mix. We would have told you that. If you was on code, you would have knew that. Running over there to help fight for cheetah wrestlers and uh, um, rhino fighters, cheetah pea drinkers. You heard me. Um, we'll be back to talk about this. I'm trying to debate if this is a hold the mail or breaking news because it's really tongue in cheek with the breaking news. This is the Keep It P podcast where we take news, situations, and everyday occurrences and we show how one could have or could not have been keeping it P. And today I am your host, TZ Von Savage, in the place to be. Sucker MCs. Self-hug, self-love. That's a beatbox in the B-boy stance. You may have thought that was corny. But what's even more corny is if we let the culture die, y'all. And what's even more corny was anybody who's FBA going over to the Ukraine to fight or to help or whatever. The point is you could have potentially been killed. And where's all that energy for over here? We got enough racism over here. There's worldwide racism, but we need to fight the racism where we at. Okay? Wherever you came from, I'm sure there's racism going on there, sister. Yeah, you didn't have to bring yourself halfway across the country to fight racism. And both sides that you're fighting for, guess what, sweetheart? They're racist too. I'm going to say from the pick that you may be multicultural, which means possibly FBA and mixed with PC. And it's the PC side that made you go over there. I'm just going to tell you that. We're going to dive into this a little bit. I called it breaking news, but it's not breaking news. But apparently it is breaking news to some people that you are fighting with neo-Nazis over there in the Ukraine. They tried to say, Germany tried to say it wasn't true, but you're going to listen to Germany? Huh? Some corners of social media are in an uproar over the U.S. Peace Corps guidance on handling racism in Ukraine. Look, corners. You got to go to the corners of social media. Not all over social media. Not it's viral on social media. But just the little old racism that's in the Ukraine. It's over in certain little corners and groups. And that's where we want to keep it, people. So this is why, again, I'm bringing a spotlight to it. We've said it again and again and again on this program. That's why you should be subscribed and make sure you get all the notifications. Press that bell and make sure it says all, right? Or you would already know this. And you could have maybe stopped some of your people from going over there. Oh, we're going to get our people from out of here. You talking about the cheetah pea drinkers? All the tethery rhino jerkies? Nah, P. Come on, man. It's all cool to be all black until it's not, right? Until it's one of us getting killed, shot down, and then like, oh, me no black. Me no black. You a katas. You a katas. We no black. We African. We warriors. We know katas, right? Right. It goes on to say Peace Corps positions in Ukraine are currently not open, but Black Peace Corps volunteers who applied were warned to be prepared to be called the N-word. They're telling you not to go over there. I mean, how much more? They don't want your kind over there, fam. The positions ain't even open and y'all still applying. How you applying for positions that ain't even open? You that thirsty to go over there? You want to show your Kuna Matata-ness that much? It's like a badge of honor? You're going to be called the N-word. Not maybe, not sorta, not kinda. It's going to happen. And you're going to face other racist behavior. So more than calling me the N-word? What's more? I mean, you must be go physical after that, right? I mean, because isn't the N-word the top of the racism chain on the verbalization? Right? So now what's past that? They're telling you physicality, spitting on you, putting their hands on you. That's what's hanging you. That's what's next, people. Since they want to sugarcoat and dance around other racist behavior. What other behavior? That's not name calling. That's not talking. That's an act, right? Okay. The warning, which includes personal accounts from volunteers, so we're gonna give you examples of the Negro trauma porn that's just not enough over here in the United States, in America. No, no, no. We got to give you the worldwide Negro trauma porn. And you guys, the Kuna Matatas, had to go over there because y'all wanted a double scoop of anti-black racism. You didn't get enough over here. Calls for having thick skin and an understanding. They want you to understand why you're being called nigger. I try not to say that. I don't say that. You heard me say N-bomb. This is a program that has children watching, scholars, educators. So I try not to use any profanity or bad language. But this is what it is. This is what it is, and we need to stop dancing around it. They were ever so bold to print it in here, so you know, um, you have to have an understanding that the racial discrimination comes from Ukrainians' lack of exposure to black people. If they haven't been around black people, how come they know all the racial slurs? If they don't talk or they're not around black people, how come they know all the stereotypes? How come they know all the racist behaviors? Why do they know all of that? Seems like you would have to practice these behaviors to become good at them, for them to become second nature, right? For the fact that it happens so often that now you must excuse such behavior, right? It is not uncommon for Ukrainians to refer to African Americans as N-word. Where'd you get that from? Why is it so common? If it's not uncommon, then it makes it common. And if they haven't been exposed to that many black people, how's it so common? Huh? Tell me how it's so common. And African Americans, ain't no African Americans over there. See that, y'all? Quit calling yourself African American if you're black. You're black. They're talking about Africans that may have went to visit, that have been to America, that may have even have family in America, P. That's who they talking about, fam. They're not talking about black people. They're talking about African Americans. Volunteers of color. How do we get to color? How do we get to volunteers of color? Black volunteers? Now we got to add color in? No, they have Indian people over there. They have Asian people over there. They already know what they are, right? So now when you're calling them monkey, who are you talking about? So you're calling the Asian people monkey, or are you calling the black people? Because all you said was volunteers of color. But this whole article is supposed to be about black people though, right? or you may see children games with blackface. Once again, you said they don't have no interactions with black people. They don't know about black people. They don't see black people. But they got blackface. They know something. Being aware of the history of dehumanization for people of African descent may help inform where this comes from. It does not justify it. It will be at your discretion to determine the intent. So if somebody calls you an N-word, a nigger, you must determine the intent. You don't know what the intent is. We don't all know what the intent is. If someone calls you a nigger, we don't know what the intent is. You don't need help to determine what the intent is if somebody calls you a nigger. Stop it. I'm sorry, y'all. Should be a keepitpraw.com. You guys are outrageous. The warning builds on the recent reports of discrimination against African students. What'd I tell y'all? I told you who they was talking about. They're studying in the country for cheaper living and more accessible education. So you mean in the whole Africa, there ain't nothing cheaper than the Ukraine? In the whole continent of Africa, there's no accessible education for you Africans? And you want to talk about black people? You can't even get a education or cheap living. I'll be seeing all kind of huts. So you can't get no cheap living in nowhere on the whole continent of Africa. You had to leave the whole continent of Africa. Let me guess, that's why you come to the United States for cheap living? Get out of here, man. Get out of here, man. All kind of fish sticks. Stop it. You cut it out. Volunteers have been in the country since 1992 when they decided to go Hakuna Matata, teaching English and helping Ukrainians with financial, media, and civic literacy. How you helping with finances and you just said the whole continent of Africa you can't find no cheap living or accessible education, but you going to teach somebody about finances? If you don't get out of here, HIV aware, you going to teach about HIV awareness, guys? Y'all can't stop and slow the spread of HIV in Africa, but you going somewhere. Boy, talk about cooning, boy. Y'all really hate yourselves. Y'all hate anything that have to do with black, kind of black, sort of black. Goes on to say, the organization trains volunteers how to engage appropriately and effectively across cultures and find common ground with the people they will be serving. In fact, what they really mean is the organization trains volunteers how to be coons and sambos and how to take anything that any culture says against you and to be understanding that everybody globally hates you and to be accepting of it. That's what they're going to teach you. However, black volunteers may face far more complicated issues. You think? Like I just told y'all, the organization blames the discrimination on Ukrainians' lack of exposure to black people and the perception that all Americans are white. Why did I tell y'all that when they said African Americans, they was only talking about Africans? I said that to you. I told you that. I already told you that. Find a common ground. What common ground if you hate my guts? I'm supposed to hate me too? I guess if you're in Hakuna Matata, you can find that common ground that we both hate black people. You hate yourself, and they hate you too. Yay! We have something in common. Now I can help you. Great. Their understanding of African American culture is fueled by the media and African stereotypes. Why do you keep talking about Africans and then call them African American? So once again, black people who are still calling yourself African Americans, they're talking about Africans when they say that. You're not African. You're not. You're a descendant of somewhere in the big whole continent. You know, Africa's comprised of multiple countries, right? You will generate lots of interest and curious stares. You think that's interest by you staring at me? Or the snarl on your face, or your beady eyes, the demonicness in your beady eyes? I think I get the picture that you hate my guts. I think I'm picking up what you're tossing at me. So these stares can make you uncomfortable and annoyed. A Ukrainian's initial perception of you may be that you are from Africa. What I tell y'all? What I tell? It may not be. It does help if they understand that you are American, huh? Y'all don't want to make the distinction between yourselves, but they're clearly doing it. We're not all one big nigga. And you see them making the difference? Because we ain't going to take that. You say any of that to us, you going to catch these two pieces, fam. We hashtag pull up season, and they know that. What they talking about is them Africans. Then y'all took your Sambo behind over there trying to help some folks that don't want to be helped by the likes of you. You Akata. I'm not gonna read the rest of this. You go from Africans, they go from Africans to then calling them black people, back to Africans, back to, then they talking about laws adopted, how all the hate crimes that happen in the Ukraine. Data shows 203 hate crimes were reported in the Ukraine in 2020. But then of which only 32 were motivated by racial bias and xenophobia. How? If they're hate crimes, how are only 32 based on race? Anyway, I'm done with this. I'm not going to keep going through this. Last paragraph, as we always do. I don't expect people to go over to Ukraine or China or Ethiopia to practice what they preach. But your neighbor who's elderly, who could try shoveling their snow or try looking out for that child who crosses the street, is simply a global extension of how Americans should believe. You don't believe like that at home. What are you talking about? And then see how they try to throw you Ethiopia up in there, like you go over to Ethiopia and you're treated like that. Maybe if you're black, you might be. So is that what they're telling you? If you're black, American, that is, that's what black is, you would go to the Ukrainian, China, or Ethiopia, and you can be treated badly. Called the nigger, perhaps, right? But they had to throw the Ethiopia up in there, though, which may be true, though, on the slender, though. But look how they tried to throw it in there, though, nonetheless. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Just gonna mold you, fold you, and scold you about being on code, because I done told you. That's all. Y'all see them Sambos done went over there acting a fool. Y'all crazy. Now you shook that you being treated badly. We told y'all they was neo-Nazis over there. We trying to stop the Nazism over here. You ain't need to go nowhere. I got plenty of places you can go if you want to volunteer. Duh. Hello, McFlizzle. Won't you go read to some black little kids or something? Huh? Teach them knowledge of self. Oh, I forgot. You don't know knowledge of yourself. But at least you can help us declare anti-black racism a public health crisis. Not a concern, a whole crisis. Love, peace, blessings, and aloha. We ain't trying to tell you what to think. We're trying to show you how to think. Shout out Jay Lava and all the black crew. Love y'all.
Music TV.
Everybody know you get the money from that ride before you went on today. I told you motherfucker I got your money yet, man. Fuck you, man. You ain't got the money yet.
Fuck you think you is, man? Motherfucking Ron O'Neal or something? What you gonna do? I'm supposed to be scared now because you got a pistol, motherfucker.
I got it. Look, I don't play with this shit. You don't even know what I gave to this shit. Self-made with this shit. I slay with this shit. Been a lot of roads I done paved with this shit. Look, see, I don't play with this shit.
Kyrie with the give and go. I get it cheap for the low. More snow than the Eskimo big birdies. Taking flight, change your life in one night. By 2 a.m. if you do it right. Up late like nigga night. Small fish, big appetite. Get an extra 4 if you whip it right. Got good gas and it's light bright. Got
He been hula hooping through loopholes, working real shit. You can count lava down, but you can't count them out, baby. Life give me lemons, I make lemon rain. I gotta go, gotta hustle to get it. If you ain't talking business, little shawty, you
Hey, Ray Ray.
Hey Rihanna, hey girl, how you doing? I'm into you like Trump's in the Putin. I know that might sound a little confusing. I had to say it for my own amusement. What I'm trying to say is, can we go cruising? Top down, blow some good gas, and listen.
Russian cream, leaves, keef, oil, premium bud. Man, I hustle in the street, but I'm a freak with the love.
Bring that ass over, tryna bring it back. I'm a big dog, tryna bring it back. I'ma slide in the way to bring it back. Let a nigga.
All I wanna do is see you move it. All I wanna do is see you get down. All I wanna do is see you move it. All I wanna do is see you get down. All I wanna do is see you move it. All I wanna do is see you get down. All I wanna do is see you move it.
Music TV.